I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, shape-shifting in the night, stalking you. Does my face seem familiar? Does my back tell you more? Will I change you or will it end you? And the power that I have can give you eternal life. Death doesn't know me. I become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, where the mist, she follows me. I walk alone in the night, watching you, following you, leading on you through the night. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me. Oh, your life, I was still. I become the living dead. I own the darkness and know what beats inside of me. I become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me.
Is it safe to fall asleep? Is it safe to dream? Eyes open to all these weird things. Alice knew what she had to do. Keep calm and journey on. A splendid time it could be, taking the high road blissfully. Time was ticking, the Mad Hatter was slipping, the mushrooms were kicking, the journey was about to begin. Hectic white rabbit racing against the clock, but Alice had another thought. She knew she ruled the plot, so she ate this and drank that. Was simple as tit for tat. Time was ticking, the Mad Hatter was slipping, the mushrooms were kicking, the journey was about to begin. A caterpillar smoke rings, he really thought he knew things. Two sides to the same thing, blowing smoke rings, cool and cryptic, but Alice didn't miss it. Big or small, Alice would not fall. Time was ticking, the Mad Hatter was slipping, the mushrooms were...
All right, folks, welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. Thought something was off there, bothering me. All right, guys, there we are. Let's see how many people we got here. What do we got? 207. Reading some of the chat here. So here's a crazy thing. So we have a guest who's going to come on, probably about an hour. So we have a crazy thing that happened to me today. We were out at the ranch, and I can't tell you how much weird stuff happened. So okay, let's start with the beginning. We get out there. Hadn't checked the mail in a couple days out there, a few days, even though we were there last night. We had to go out there yesterday. We forgot to check the mail. So we go to check the mail, and there's a scorpion in our mailbox. I don't think anybody put it there. I mean, Nellie took a video. She took a picture of it, and then I don't like a video. So there was nothing in the mailbox. So I guess we didn't get anything yesterday. And so that's the mail for the ranch, right? So there's a freaking scorpion. It's not a real big one. It's a little one, you know? Yeah, but those are bad, dude. Those are bad dudes, man. They sting you, man. You're in trouble. And so it's venomous for sure. And then we parked the vehicle. You took a different vehicle. You were already there.
Yeah.
So he was already there. So we get there. And we had to do some cleaning. We had to do some stuff, to just take care of the animals and stuff. And so, God, it was crazy. So Nellie walks through a black widow web.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, dude, like unbelievable. And she used to have black widows. Like I've said this before, she had them. Like I don't know how you could do that. Have a
hell no
terrarium like right above your head, like right behind you on the. What do you call that?
I don't even want to be in the same house as a snake.
I don't want to be in the house with any of these things, any of these creatures, man.
Pet scorpion, pet snake.
None of those. Well, Scorpion had a scorpion at one time. So, I mean, that's, so I got used to him. His name was Samson. He was an emperor scorpion. He wasn't venomous. He wasn't poisonous, put that way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben YouTubing. That's awesome. So, anyways, we get, we start taking the stuff and putting it from one vehicle into another to consolidate some stuff, and we end up with Nellie stands in a fire ant bed,
yeah,
and gets the hell stung out of her. Like her feet are just covered in fire ant bed.
Something was bound to bite or sting her
because she kind of mumbled it when she said it happened. I was on the other side of the truck moving stuff, and I was like, "What?" I really, and she got mad. She's like, "Don't ever feel pity for anybody else." I started laughing at first. I thought she was joking.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I just got stung real bad. I look at her feet. Her feet are bad, dude. It's like stings all over them. And I thought, man, I hope she's not fire ants, dude. I hope she's not allergic. We'll be rushing in the hospital. I was getting ready to have to just take off, go flying down the highway, and or take them back county roads,
mm-hmm.
But she's okay. She's okay. It just, God dang, man. It's crazy.
We got scorpions, black widows, and fire ants.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fun times. All we're missing is, we got snakes out there already.
Sage Cooley says, I got a black widow by my front. You don't want that because they always lay eggs, man. They're always female, so they always have eggs. And then they will spread out all over the place. You'll have them everywhere. Everywhere you go to look, under a sink, you go out to a storage shed, they'll be out there. Trust me. You got to get rid of them, dude. That's something you cannot compromise on. People don't understand the threat that they pose. Them and brown recluses, man. They say, "Oh, spiders, keep them in your house because they kill bugs and stuff." Those will kill you. The black widows and brown recluses will kill you. So you don't want to have those in your house. So this is crazy. So Thursday night, I went to the gym and I was working out after we got done doing what we had to do, and so my wife's nice enough to let us go work out and go work the post for us. Crazy, man. And so we end up, I'm going to sit down on the, what was it that I was going to sit down on? It's the tricep machine where you sit down, you push down like this.
Mm-hmm.
I go to sit down on a brown recluse falls out of it. I kid you not, man. I'm not even making this up. Anthony, you were there. It's just,
Yeah, I killed it.
Yeah, he had to spray it. He sprayed it because we couldn't see it because it was moving around. It was kind of fast, you know, and they're little brown fuckers, you know.
You had to spray it to stop it from moving,
Yeah.
and then it squished it.
Yeah, I stepped on it, not you. Don't take credit for what I did.
I'm pretty sure I stepped
No,
on it.
no. You sprayed it, and I stepped on it. You did not step on it. I did.
Okay, we both stepped on it.
No, you didn't. You didn't do it. You sprayed it.
I definitely did some stepping on that spider.
You didn't. You were on the other side of the machine.
There's no spider that goes unstepped
It's
around
impossible.
me.
You could have done it because you were on the other
If
side
I
of the
see a
machine.
spider-
You sprayed it from the. You did a good job of spraying it. Why you got to take all the credit? You didn't do. I squished
I
it.
step on that thing on site. No questions
No,
asked.
you didn't do that though. You didn't. You should have stepped on it anyway. Then
There's no such thing as a
Why go
spider.
get the spray?
There's
Why
no
not
such thing as a spider around me that doesn't
You
get
could have
stepped
just
on.
stepped on it. Why did you need to get the spray?
Because it stopped it from moving.
Well,
I squirted it with it.
if you were going to step, you could have just stepped on it, and you wouldn't need the spray.
I tried it and then I missed.
See, that right there is what I wanted, folks. I wanted him to say he missed because let me tell you something.
And then I immobilized it.
I
and
stepped on it. He immobilized it. I stepped on it. He tried to take all the credit. See how he is? Now you know how Anthony plays.
I did some spider stepping.
See, he tried. He tried. He didn't do it though. He tried to take the credit. That's how it goes. These younger generation, they always want to try to take credit from us older guys. Trying to toss us out the game here. No, that ain't happening.
Well, regardless, I'm better at stepping on spiders.
He didn't do it. He's lying, folks.
Mhm.
Tell you right now, it's not what happened.
I'm better at slaying spiders, sir.
Let's see. I'm 50. How old are you, boy? 30 something. Look,
Yeah.
I got 25 years of spider stepping ahead of you.
Yep.
20, not 25. I got 15 years.
And
of
if you
spider stepping.
and if you keep doing it for another 15, you might catch up to me.
Okay, so you were going. Were you in pest control? Because I know you weren't, right? So you're going door to door, knocking people's houses. Do you have spiders in here? Because I need to step on them. If you have a spider,
Those were my houses.
get it to me. I'll step on.
They were my roommates. Living in dumpy, crappy houses in Taylor.
No, you had a nice house at one time.
One time,
Yeah, that was a nice one. And then
every other house.
well,
was
no,
dope.
now your mom got a nice. She's had 2 nice houses since then, so she's done pretty good. She had a nice house, and then it was a not a good house. You walk in it and you feel like you're gonna go slide off the.
Yeah.
You're walking. You're like, whoa,
You're
what am I
fall through
doing?
the floor.
But the rent was cheap. She got back on her feet, and then she had a nice house, and then now she has a really nice house. I like that house she's got now. It's nice. Starting to be aggravated with my house, I can tell you that. But so we're getting people in here. We're letting people jump in, folks. We got 270 people in here, and they're gonna come because we're talking about werewolves, vampires, clowns. If you're wondering what the heck this is, let me tell you something. Okay, I have a guy that's going to come on and tell you a crazy story. We had somebody tell us a crazy story. I don't know how long ago it was. Probably a couple of years, right? The carnival. It was a person that told us a story about a werewolf that they saw. They said it was like what they thought it was a werewolf that was. This is how they described it to us. Like absolutely 100%. They said it was a werewolf with a clown mask or suit on, trying to hide the werewolf part of it. Like they had a werewolf, like. Now, I asked the question, could it have been a person wearing a werewolf costume covered by a clown costume? And they said maybe, but that person had to have been 7.5 feet tall. Well, they said 7 feet tall, but then when they started talking about it, there was 2 people. There was one, and another person was kind of saying, nah, I think it was taller. I think it was in between 7 and 8 feet. So we said 7.5, which is pretty common. And so we end up like with this weird description that I've never heard before of a werewolf clown thing, right? But then my cousin Trey, he was on the show, and he described something at the Wind River Reservation. Now, Wind River is weird. It's got 2 sides to it, east and west, and one side is Arapaho, the other side is Shoshone. And if you've ever been up there, they have a casino up there too. And a lot of people, the only thing they would know about it is they go up there, there's a casino. They don't go to the reservation. Right, it's like going to Ruidoso and you got that I forget what they're called now. Jeez Louise, Mescalero Reservation.
Mhm.
I've been up all day. I'm tired. The Mescalero Reservation, it's like kind of catty corner. It's the end of the Mountain Gods is their casino, but you wouldn't. And you could pull in there. I've gone there. I've gone to the reservation. Most people they won't let you go on there, but I had somebody that I knew. So, because you turn in there, right, and they see you,
Mhm.
and they're just like, "What is this white guy doing? Why is he driving up? What's he doing driving up to our land?"
Yeah.
And there's a sign right there that says, "If you're
kinda weird to
not
think
part of the
about.
tribe," it's a sign right there. It
It's like
says
a
it,
world within a world, or a country within a country.
pretty much.
You know?
And they said, if you're not one of us, don't be here. Like it pretty much says
Yeah.
that, like on the sign, right?
We were allowed to be racist.
And the Utes the same way. Like when I was at the Ute reservation, same thing. Like my friend let me on. He's like, "Hey, let's," and it was they were cool with me. I mean, nobody messed with me. Everybody was cool. I respect their culture. That's the thing. I mean, I'm accused of this. He's making fun of native culture. No, I'm making fun of somebody who pretends to be native. Two different things. There's somebody that goes, I'm native, and they're not. They're not even. They're 6% supposedly. But you could get that on the Dawes roll if you're up in Oklahoma because you can pay for it. They call them $5 Indians. That's what they call them. And so that's what this guy is the one that's just making all these crazy slang accusations or whatever.
Well, that's quite the racket.
Yeah. Well, it was how it was after they got it set up. Then there were all these people that were there, the Sooners.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the worst people ever, dude. I mean, I'm not even joking, dude.
I always thought that was a stupid name to name your football team after the Sooners. Like
the Sooners were not good people, dude.
The Sooners were people who got shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, not all of them. Some of them made it. I mean, they were every con artist. I'm going to tell you the truth, man, folks. I'm going to tell you this. And if you're from Oklahoma, I'm not trying to bash on you, whatever, but that area up there, every con man and every snake oil peddler and every carpetbagger went there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have some of the worst. I'm just telling you right now that's a trash. That it is the trashy people, man. I'm telling you. And so imagine a carpetbagger.
Mm-hmm. Buy my elixir.
This thing has so much of that pulp in it. Imagine a carpetbagger, person from the North, post-Civil War. That's when they all started showing up after the Civil War. They show up. Just imagine a dirty, scuzzy dude with one of them little small hats, with the little, like that dude, the douchebag that writes fiction, DA. He wears the little douchebag hat. Imagine his little fat pudgy self with the little carpet bag. He's like, "Here I am, both Cephas Wilkes here." I'm you look kind of like Colonel Sanders, but like they're trying to fit in with the Southerners.
Yeah,
got the little tie with the little thing that came in. I'm Bo Cephas over here, got 3 teeth. Imagine that. And Bo Cephas over here. I'd kindly like to sell you some of my elixir. There are different colors now, folks. There's blue, green, and the red. I'm partial to the red myself. And there's the tobacco shit dripping down their face and nasty. Fingernails, mine are immaculate, obviously, but they're going to have black and all kind of goo and shit up in there. And they don't even work. They don't work a job. They didn't hit a lick in their life. But what they'll do is they'll have their fingernails dirty because that's what they do. That's how they are. That's how they do, right? And then he got the little mutton chops right here. And yeah. So I'd kind of like to be an Indian. You got any way I could do that? And of course, he's got some spots all over his face because he was sniffing household products. They didn't have the meth back then, so he had to find something, right? And then he's like smoking the opium. Ooh. And here he comes. Hi, how you doing? So how am I about getting on that Dodge roll? And, they tell him, "Oh, you don't rightly look like the kind to be native. Well, you kind of look like a carpetbagging white man." And he's like, "Whoa, no. My mammy, she, because they think that's how they talk in the South, right? My mammy, she was a quarter Indian. I'm going to tell you right now, she was a phenomena." It was a crazy phenomenon, I'm telling you. She was real Indian, yeah, for real.
She was from the Whack-A-Mole tribe.
If you let me in the Dawes rolls, you won't not be not having a good time in no time. Yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, okay. You got that $5? Yeah. Just give it on to Mr. Clifford Hughes over here. He'll take care of you, boy. And stay away from my women folk. You have an unsavory look about you." Takes his little jacket. "I'll see you in church." Oh yeah, I praise the Lord. Every now and then, I don't want to. He's a busy guy. I don't want to bother him too much now. And he's always got some kind of scuzzy guy with him, right? Come on, Cletus. Okay, boss. What about me? Am I gonna be on the dice roll? No, you ain't gonna be on the dice roll. Are you crazy? You ain't got the sense God gave a snake. And now me, on the other hand, I'm the real deal. That's how it happened. That is how it happened. And then they have children. And then their children have children, and 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 children have children, children have children. They keep on. And they plop them all down in a trailer in the middle of nowhere.
And the children have children with each other.
And then they have a card, and it has a booger on it, and it says, "I am a real boy." Real. I'm a real Indian. I really am.
I'm a real Indian boy.
I love being native. Really, I do. And then they make a channel, and they start spinning all kinds of crap. Now, if you just buy this banana, this is a piece of art. Artwork, folks. Artwork. Let's start the bidding at $59.99. I'm fixing to go do some boots on the ground, walking around. Somebody buys the banana. I'll buy it from you. You're a good Christian man. Yes, just like my great-great-great-great-grandpappy, Snakes Wilkerson. Maybe you should leave the snakes part out next time. Right? That's what happens. Right? And voila, you have a $5 engine. That's what they call them. And what were they? Typically carpetbaggers. We came from the north. Talked like, a lot of people came, like Kansas, that area, the further north from there too, Midwest, whatever, it didn't matter. North of the Mason-Dixon line, let's put it that way. And this was their chance to be a Southerner. That's as close to the South as they wanted to get. Because if they went too far south, a lot of times they get in big trouble. You hear about these guys after 1880s, and things kind of changed. There was a different president, different all this stuff, happened. Long story short, some of them got tarred and feathered. Some of them lost their heads, and they got put into a carpet bag and thrown in the river. Because these were not good people. They were here to pollute and rape and steal and kill and do all kinds of bad stuff. And blending in and pretending like you were a native was one way. So they give you asylum, and they give you a card that says you are native. Look it up. And then your great-great-great-great-grandchildren can claim that. Always 6%. Like, oh, yeah, 33 over, whatever it is. 512. 6%. Right? Then you start to realize that these aren't really, they're not natives. But the natives have to accept them because they've grandfathered in. They've great-great-great-great-grandfathered in. Right? And it looks real bad if you go around trying to find them all and tell them, let's check your blood. They're not going to do that, because if they do, they're going to find a bunch of people who aren't native. Then it looks real bad. So that's my take on that. And in my opinion, it's a really horrible system, because you let a lot of really not good people into this system, and they corrupt it. Right? Now, they can lie all they want, but I know damn well they're not who they say they are. Right? There's a whole passel of them up there. And in that, like I said, in that area, the Sooners, there was a bunch of trash that got up there. So, anyways, 350 people here. Let's get started here. So, here's what we have, folks. We have some stories. The clown connection is really weird, right? And I've been wanting to do this for a while. And so I have somebody who's going to come on and talk about what they saw. In the meantime, I want to bring your attention to an encounter that someone had. This one came out of Lubbock, Texas, which is funny because this is the one that really kind of drew my attention when I was going through the file. My friend Arash had an encounter in Lubbock, and he had something different happen here in Austin. You know, he's kind of like me, you know, and he's half Persian, half, you know, whatever, but he's a Christian like me, and he's been able to see things his whole life, and so that's why I think he was able to see what he saw. And I just think that this one here in Lubbock, this was a trucker that got in touch with me, and his wife is a nurse, and he just got back into town, or he was just trying to get back into town because his family, they lived in Abilene. They were right outside of Abilene, you know, a small little place. And his wife's a nurse, so he was pushing. He was coming back, you know, and he's like, I stopped in Lubbock. He goes, and I had dinner. He goes, it's about 8 o'clock, and it was summertime. It was night, you know, and he goes, and it was getting dark, and it was hot as hell. He's like, but it was a beautiful night, and it was nice. And it was overcast. A few storm clouds had rolled in. Nothing happened. And he said, man, I went outside to my truck. And when I did, this was in 2012. He said, when I did, I see this guy, which I can only describe it as a guy at first. He was kind of hunched over and he was walking sideways. And I thought at first this is what he said. He said, I thought at first it had like a club foot or something was wrong. It's like it was dragging its foot. He's like, and as I got closer, I realized it was dragging something. And he's like, and then it went behind one of the trucks. He goes, and there's like all these trucks at this truck stop, right? And there's people sitting in their trucks, whatever. And he's like thinking, nobody else sees this. And so he walks over there. He walks back there. He says, yeah, I'm armed. I'm always armed, you know. He goes, I got my flashlight, you know, and I'm shining it. And I look to where he was dragging whatever it was. But I at first thought it was his own like appendage. And he looks down, and where he's standing, he sees, and this guy's name is Rod. But Rod sees this that can only be described as like a smear, like a red smear. And he goes, at first, he goes, I'm not going to lie, man. There was a lot of it. I would have thought it was like strawberry jelly. He goes, and then I realized it was blood. It had to be blood. He goes, that was the first cue to get the heck out of there, dude. He goes, I look around. I don't see anybody. I don't know anything about this. He goes, I'm out of here, dude. He goes, this truck was behind my truck. He goes, and, you know, he goes, the old saying, curiosity killed the cat. He goes, I started walking back to my truck. He's like, and then as I get back to my truck, he goes, I see something in the rearview mirror come from behind my truck. He's like, and at this point, I see it has a white shirt on. I could see fur, not hair, like fur. He's like, and then I look and I see there's like a mask, like, but it's kind of tilted up. It looks like somebody's looking upward. And he thinks it's really odd. He's just like, what in the hell am I looking at, dude? And he said the guy was kind of hunched over. He saw the hand on the side of his trailer. He goes, I could see in the rearview mirror. He's like, you know, he goes, I could see it. You know, there's some dim light out there. I could see it though. He's like, and I'm thinking that is the weirdest looking thing. He goes, my eyes could not adjust to make out what it was. It took me a couple seconds. He's like, and while I'm staring at this thing, he goes, I realize I could see the head of it. It looked like some ears were pointing upward. And he's thinking, what the heck what am I looking at here, dude? He goes, and I was trying hard to adjust. He goes, and my vision just wasn't catching it. He goes, and at that point, I just opened the door to my truck, and this thing began to walk toward me faster, but it was still walking. And then it stood upright. He's like, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and I saw pants. The bottoms of the pants were kind of rolled up. They weren't ripped or anything like that. The shirt was rolled up on the sleeves. He could clearly see that it was fur all over the arms, and the hand was weird looking. It had claws. And I asked him about the nails. I said, did it look wolf-like or were they? He said, no, but I could see ears kind of pushed down, but they were still kind of sticking out, sticking sideways, kind of out, you know? He goes, and then I saw this mask when it turned its head and it like lowered, obviously it lowered its head. He goes, it has like a clown mask. The cheap kind you would just get like at a store, you know, for like Halloween. He's like, and this was late August. So, you know, he goes, I'm thinking, you know, maybe there's places selling Halloween masks or something. He goes, but I have to say it looked like a werewolf with a clown mask on the top of its head. And when it turned its head down like that, he goes, I could see the snout. He goes, and I could see the mask, like there was a face right there. like it was white, like a white face with a red nose and a big like smiley face, you know. And he was looking at this thing and he was thinking, what in the heck? He's still trying to figure. He's like, what in the heck am I looking at? This is insane looking. You know, it's just crazy. And it's wearing clothes. And he goes, and then the feet. He's like, they were these big feet. It had this backward bent legs, and it was wearing pants. And we're right below the knee, the pants were rolled up. They rolled up kind of neat too. It wasn't like all tore up and tattered like a werewolf popped out, you know. No, this thing was wearing clothes. And it had this clown mask on the top of its head. Not on its face, obviously, but it was on the top of its head. He goes, and I was looking at that. He goes, and that clown face was so ugly. He goes, it was just a creepy, ugly thing. He goes, and then I hear this laughter, like and it sounded like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man or something, you know. And I thought, is that creature making that noise? Dude, he got in the truck. He said, I closed that door, I locked it, and I started that rig up, dude. He goes, and I started driving out of there, and this thing just kind of shuffled off behind my truck and disappeared into the night. And you would think, oh man, that's a crazy thing that happened to him. Well, good thing he got away, right? That's the end of it, right? No, because whatever this thing was, whatever it was not done with him yet. Rod was not out of the woods. He was not, you know, it was, he was out of the car lot, out of the truck lot, but he wasn't out of the woods. No, he's like, I get about 3 or 4 miles up the road, man. He goes, and I'm in downtown Lubbock at this point. You know, he goes, I was supposed to take an exit and go off into the you know, the plains out there. And he goes, nah, dude. He goes, I was like, I'm going to stay in this town. I'm going to stay at the lights where there's traffic. He's like, and I'm going to stay in there as long as I can. I'm not going out there because I thought, man, what if this thing runs fast or something, you know? And he says, dude, when he gets to the first light, he goes, I was right there. It was like right there when you start to go to downtown Lubbock. And he says, I look over right there on the corner. He goes, and I kid you not. He goes, I see a homeless guy dressed like a clown. And the guy had like a sign and everything. And his sign said, clowning ain't easy. Like he literally saw that. He goes, I look over and I see this. And I'm like, the guy had bushy red hair, and he obviously was like a thing on top of its head. And he goes, what the heck is that? He says, he looked like he was wearing like 2 pieces on the mask. The bottom part was like his mouth was made up, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a mask. He goes, I promise you the bottom part was not a mask. He goes, and then I saw the bushiness of the red of the whatever. He goes, and here's the part that really got me. He goes, the guy was holding the sign. He was walking. He had these big pants on. They were blue and yellow polka dot pants. He said that. He remembers purple and yellow polka dot pants. And it was white, like the suspenders up his part was white, like suspenders. And then he was wearing like a shirt with like checkers, like blue and red checker. The typical clown, like he looked like a clown, had white whatever. He goes, I saw him when he was holding that sign. He goes, and I look, and he goes, and this thing made eye contact with me and looked at me real suspiciously. I saw the nails on that sign. He goes, they were black. He goes, I didn't see exactly what the colors the other one were. He said, but this particular specimen here, that's his exact words. It had like, he was kind of being facetious the way he talked. He said, I was a specimen, you know. He goes, it was quite the oddity, right? Black nails. A little bit too thin to be human looking, poking out the top of these gloves. And then he said, this is really weird. He goes, I'm sitting at this light and I'm observing this guy, man. He goes, and it was crazy. The red poofy hair, he goes, you could see they were like these ears, these grayish looking ears that were sticking out, going out. And he goes, it was kind of hidden, you know, within that mask. He goes, but you could see it. He goes, and then when it turned to the side, he goes, there was a bit of a snout. He goes, I could see it, but then there was just a mouth right here. Like the nose might have been elongated, so it looked like a man with a really big nose. Mm-hmm. Like it was like the makeup was drawn to kind of cover up. He said, and then it smiled, and when it did, he goes, it had all these jaggedy teeth. He goes, it was not like a wolf. Like, you know how a wolf has these straight, like these 4 right here and like that, and the incisors, then it has the canines.
Yeah.
That was not like that at all. He said it was just straight up and down triangles on top and bottom. Looked kind of like a shark. He said, if you've seen a land shark, that's what it would look like. So he's standing there. He goes, I'm looking at this thing. He goes, and I see it. It's looking at me. He goes, and he kind of lowered its head, and you could see through the pants. He goes, I could almost tell that the pants were not correct. There was like this backward bent to the legs. He goes, and I'm looking at this thing, and Rod was like, he goes, dude, and he's not no little punk guy. You know, he's 6'4", and he weighs like 285 pounds. He's not a little dude. He works out. He's like, when I'm on the road, he goes, every chance I get, I stop. I go to, you know, the he used to have memberships. There's 24-hour fitness. I had Planet Fitness. I had like 3 different places. I used to always work out. I was just committed to it. He's like, I'd take a set of dumbbells with me and I'd do push-ups, you know. And he's like, I just big time weightlifter. And I said, I know how it is. You go out of town, you got to have that connection to whatever. And he said, man, he goes, I'm looking at this thing. He goes, and I know that's not a normal looking clown. He goes, if there is a normal looking clown, his words. And he says, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, that is not a normal dude. Not at all. Now, if you're homeless and you're holding a sign saying clowning ain't easy, and you're standing in the middle of downtown Lubbock, you're not a normal guy anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and you're dressed like a clown in the heat of summer. But he said, you know, the clothing that he was wearing though looked kind of baggy, you know, like it was kind of comfortable. The pants, you know, like the pants looked like they were kind of thin, you know, just enough to conceal whatever. And he said that there was this like top part of the overalls like white, and there was all these different colors, and it just looked bizarre, you know. And I told him, I said, think about it, man. You're hiding in plain sight. But this guy that he saw in the corner, I mean, he had just left that lot. He saw another one with a mask on that looked more werewolf-like. This one looked more like it was in full outfit, hiding what it was. So I asked him what he thought it was, because he asked me, and I said, well, let me ask you, what do you think it was? And he said, if I had to put my finger on it, it looked like a freaking werewolf hiding in a clown costume. I said, then it's probably what it was. He drives off. He drives from there straight to Abilene. He's like, dude, shifting gears, getting the hell out of there.
Don't stick around to investigate.
Yeah. He said, I thought, man, I should have got on the highway and got out of there instead of going into downtown. He's like, but that's fine. He goes, I got out of there and I never looked back. He goes, and I haven't been to Lubbock since. I asked him that. And he goes, I ain't been to Lubbock since, man. Now, about 6 years later, in 2018, his wife and his son are going to the grocery store. Something runs out of the bushes right there in South Abilene and kind of goes alongside their vehicle and then veers off. At the very last minute, as it was getting toward the bushes, what looked like a large hyena-like, wolf-like creature stands upright and jumps two-legged over the bushes. Now, he told me that, and I said, let me tell you something. Not very many people ever see a dogman or a werewolf, whatever you want to call them. I said, you saw 2 weird-looking clown-like things, whatever. 6 years later, your wife and your son see something. This was 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
He saw his in 2012. And this was in December. I also told him December, and if you don't know, now you know, December seems to have a high rate of people having encounters. December seems to be a very active month for dogmen. It also seems to be an active month for them pretending to be something else. And I'll tell you what I mean. There was a guy that encountered one of these things in Detroit, Michigan. And granted, it was in a bad area. And he was a Santa Claus outfit with a clown mask on. And he was asleep, and he was heavyset, really heavyset. You could see this big barrel that was supposed to be his midsection. And he had his hand like on his stomach, like he had just eaten. And he was like, this guy's drunk. He's standing there in the corner, right? And this is in downtown Detroit, right? And he's like, dude, I walk by this guy. This guy's name is Clarence, by the way. And Clarence walks by this guy, and he goes, and he's wearing a clown mask, and he's a Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
When he walks by this dude, he puts some change into the bucket, and then he realizes this guy's, you know, is he okay? What's going on here? But the clank of the change and the dollars, you know, kind of the guy kind of sat up, looked at him. He could see his eyes behind the mask. It was just a rubber mask, you know, you could see it. And he was like, why is this guy dressed like a clown? Why is he wearing a clown, you know? And he don't have the little hat on his head. It's on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And he told him, kind of jokingly, he tells him, "Buenos dias, Santa Claus. How you doing?" And this guy's Cuban, the guy that told him that. And the guy goes, that's all he did. He didn't go like, "Oh yeah, I'm sleeping off a bender." He's just like,
His grunts.
yeah, just like that. That's the best I could mimic what he did. Then he tells this Santa Claus, he says, "Man, it's a little, it's a little early to be borracho, right? Be drunk." This guy tells him, he says, "No. That's all he tells him." Shakes his head and then turns his head to the side, full on mask on his head. He goes, and this guy said the same thing. Curiosity got the better of him, right? He's like, I started walking over there. I want to see who this guy is. He goes, and I wanted to take a picture of this guy. This was 2017, right? He said, I want to take a picture of this guy. He goes, and I want to turn him into the Salvation Army. Be like, look, this is the kind of people you have working your little kettle here in a bad area. Anybody could come up and steal. He goes, and this is what's crazy. I lean in to try to take a picture, and this hand comes up and grabs him and says, "Don't do that." And he goes, I was frozen. He's like, I'm standing there. He goes, and it's a cold December night, He goes, and I'm like, my glasses almost fell off my head, and I threw my head back. He goes, I didn't want my glasses falling off onto this guy. And this guy sat up and says, if you're looking, this is what he told him. He says, if you're looking for the Santa Claus, I ate him. Tells the guy this, right? Clarence, half Cuban, right? Half Cuban guy. He's like, my mom's Cuban, my dad's a white guy. He's like me, but I'm Hispanic, Mexican, whatever. And he says, man, he says, he made a joke. He said, the Hispanic side of me took over, and I thought, this is a freaking demon. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to step back. He goes, but then he goes, you know how white people are? He's like, his words, not mine. He goes, I'm going to investigate. He's like, he goes, and I'm one of those people, I'm like my dad. My dad's like a rational minded guy. There's no boogeyman. There's none of this crap. He hears all these crazy stories from the island when he was growing up, like, oh, in Cuba, there's all these weird creatures. There's this, there's that, whatever. He said, then I married a girl who's Puerto Rican. He goes, she's black and Puerto Rican, or Haitian and Puerto Rican, right? And he goes, crazy mix. He's like, and we met at this thing for our company that we were working for at that time. He goes, and then we both get fired because of it. HR fires us, right? He's like, and then we end up working, for Ford or whatever. And he says, dude, I couldn't believe it. He goes, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this thing and I'm torn. I'm like, I'm not this kind of curious person. Like, but my dad, he's one of those people who's like, well, I'm going to investigate this because I don't believe in this crap, And he said his mom and his dad were really funny because his dad was always like trying to debunk the crap that his mom would say. She'd be like, there's a demon in those cabinets over there. It's rattling the pots and pans. He said, you mean there's a rat? You know what I mean? It was always like that, right? There was always this one-upmanship, and she was like, look, I told you there's something over there, whatever. And he goes, yeah, that's a person with a camera. There's a flash, right? It was always something. Then one day they were driving through Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, where a friend of his dad's, who was in the military, right, in the Air Force, and they were going there to meet him. And he was like an officer in the Air Force, this guy he was friends with. And they see these 3 balls of light that come down out of the sky, fly over their truck, and then split up and then go back up and then do it again and then go back up. And then next thing you know, they're down again and they're up and they just take off straight up. And then that was when his dad said, oh my gosh. And his mother was like, I told you, see, those are aliens. And she believes in everything. His dad believes in nothing. He goes, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm like, show me. Like people from Missouri. Show me. I want to see it. Show me this, right? Show me where this is at. Right. So he's standing there, and this thing, he says that's his words, was holding my right arm. He goes, and I look down and I don't see a hand with fingers. I don't see fingernails. He says, I see a hand with claws. He's like, and you know what the fingers looked like? He's like, there were these white gloves, and he goes, you could just see the nails poking out of the top of a couple of the fingers on of the gloves, right? The fingerlets. And he says there was like these rings on the, like little thin rings all the way up and down those two fingers. You could see it. It looked like you know how a rooster's feet look.
Mm-hmm.
He said that's how the claws look. He said, and then I look in the eyes, I could see this thing blinking. He goes, and then it made this like kind of hissing sound. He goes, and I pulled my arm away. And he was like, and I backed up and I was like, what the F are you? And the guy goes, what the F are you? And he sat up and he goes, as he's trying to take his mask off, he goes, curiosity be damned. He goes, I left. He goes, I took off running. And I just heard this laughter. He's like, but then I looked back. He goes, I looked over my shoulder and everything in me told me, don't look back at this thing. Don't look at it. Don't pay attention to it. Pretend like it doesn't exist. And he goes, but I couldn't help it. Yeah, too much of my dad in me. Because I turn around and I look, and there it is. And he's like, this thing, the head of this thing, it was like this snout. He goes, and it looked kind of like a lizard person. He goes, but if I was to put money on it, it looked like it was growing hair on its face. Yeah. He goes, and I remember the ears, it looked like an elf's ears. And it was taking that clown mask off. He goes, and it was like all on all fours. Like it was changing into something. So that's a weird one. There's a lot to unwrap on that one. So when he was telling me this, I was thinking, what could that be? And now how I met this guy is weird because we were in a group about reptilians.
Mm-hmm.
We were in one of those reptilian groups. And he was trying to tell this story. And people were like talking crap. You know, there was people like kind of mocking him, whatever. And he said, man, forget this, man. And he said something kind of bad to somebody on there. And then they reported him. So he's like, yeah. So I messaged him and he was getting a, what do you call that when they you get a strike or what's it called on Facebook?
What community
ban.
standards? Oh, a ban.
You got a ban. So he had gotten like a couple days or whatever, 3 days. And then so we started talking and we got along. We started messaging back and forth. We got along pretty good. And he gave me the story. And he said, every bit of this story is true, is what he told me. And it was 2017. He said it was 4 days before Christmas. So it would have been like December 21st, something like that. At least he says he thinks it was. He goes, I think it was like 4. He goes, I think if I remember correctly, it was a few days before Christmas, maybe 4 or 5. The significance of that is interesting because, you know, we've compiled a lot of different encounters from people, and I've done a lot of hustling to get those encounters. And I can tell you this, and you can ask an ADP, you can ask anybody who's done this. There are a lot of encounters that happen in December. They kind of start spiking in October. Mine was in October, obviously October 31st, Halloween. But then they really hit this like crescendo between Thanksgiving and Christmas. The week after Thanksgiving is very busy too. It's very busy. It's really weird. Oh, Anna says, can you give me a water? Yeah. She says, Facebook jail, proud repeat offender. Me too. Me too. It's really bad though when you get banned, get in trouble for trying to get stories from people. And JX, I know you probably did. I can tell you probably did. Yeah, two shadows. That is. He says, "Yep, that's an interesting time of year, man. It's not just interesting time of year, man. It's you know, that's where it seems to happen. Like there's a lot of weird stuff that happened. The next one I'm going to tell you, and there's a bunch of these. When I was talking to Anthony and Tony about this a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about doing the clowns. No, wait, it's been longer than that. When did I first talk to you about doing the clowns? Was it a month? Was it 2 weeks? Probably 3 weeks, right? What do you think?
Maybe a little bit less than a month.
Maybe less than a month, a little bit less.
Yeah.
So a little over 3 weeks, maybe. I could tell you this. We talked about it, and none of us remembered seeing a whole lot of these encounters in there. There was like what we thought there were 4 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we thought that of those 4, 2 had already been told on the show, we thought, right? The connection there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take just the werewolf ones, there was like 8 where there was something not like this one here. You can't say, okay, this guy saw a werewolf. He saw a dog man. I don't know what he saw. Like a demon that was shape-shifting or a reptile that was reptilian that was shapeshifting into a werewolf, which isn't unheard of. We've heard of this before. But there's a connection there. There's some sort of wolf-like entity in there and connected to this. So if you take all the ones that we had, even the loose connections where somebody saw like this weird clown and then later saw a dogman, which somebody did, a woman named Juliet. That was in New Mexico, near Roswell. Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been Roswell, right on the edge of town. So that one, if you take them all together, was 8 of them. That's not a small number. And then the vampire connection one, there was about 5. So altogether, there were 13. We tossed 2 or 3 out. So we were shocked. But you scoured them through different channels. Like you look at different, connections on these. You're like, okay, here's one. And then you start to put them together and you're like, dude, this is weird. Really weird. Somebody said Adam Schiff. Are you talking about Adam Schiff? It's interesting that you would say that because he's been accused of being a werewolf. Did you know that? Right. Really weird. People see these people like eyes slitting up, all kinds of weird stuff. And it happens too. Right? It just happens. So let's go ahead and call our guy here. Give me 1 second, folks. Chris, are you there? Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you good. You're coming in clear. So I got you on the show here. Okay. So don't be nervous. There's only 515 people listening to you. Okay. Christopher here is a very interesting guy. Let me introduce him. I will tell you, this guy, he is. They can't hear him? Hang on. Can't hear. JX said can't hear. Hold on. We're going to get you in. Just hang tight, folks.
Okay, Chris, go ahead and give us a mic check. I'm gonna see if they can hear you.
I can. I don't know what the people can. I can. I don't know what the people can.
No, they can't hear him. You know what? We can just send him a link to join on StreamYard.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. All right.
Yeah, so we could hear him on our end, but they couldn't hear him.
Lawrence said he could hear him at first and then nothing.
That's weird.
That's weird. There you are, Chris.
Sure.
There you go. Okay. So you're working tonight at an undisclosed location. We're not going to talk about where you're at. So Chris is co-owner of another security company who subcontracts with us sometimes. Let's put it that way. And you used to work with us about 5 years ago. And another interesting thing about Chris is he was once a priest. So very interesting guy. So Christopher Burke. So Chris, tell us what you saw one night when you were working at a post.
Yeah, well, this is a new housing development, and you have to understand there's a lot of woods in the area, and there's also a river that they were trying to get permits to build a bridge across. All right. So I don't know if that's has anything to do with the story, but so I was working in the housing development, and I'm going, and let me explain that there's a bunch of roads that they cleared out that we didn't go down. They were just dirt. Okay. Which was an important part of this too. So, but I'm at the far end, right, of the housing development, and I pull into this little cul-de-sac, right? And I'm looking over, and I tell myself, I stop the car, and I turn on the spotlight, and I tell myself, I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing, right? I look up, and there's some freak, right? And this is what's going on in my head. There's some freak standing there in a clown suit, right? And he's got a werewolf mask on. And I hit this guy with the light, and I'm telling you right now, the ears twitched, right? And I just right there at that moment, I'm like, oh shit, right? You know me, man. I'm like rolling up the window. I'm backing up as quick as I can, not take off, right? Well, it's probably about half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile from where I was to the very end of the road, right? Where the new construction starts. And it probably took me, man, less than 2 minutes to get down there. And then when I'm looking, I look up, and I pull towards it, and I got my light shining. And here comes this weirdo, right? Doing like this little lop thing, kind of like a little run, lope, lop thing that wolves do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it skips across there and stops and waves at me. I don't know what the hell to do, so I wave back. I'm like, what the fuck, right? So, right? So, and the sad part is, so when I call the sheriff's department, right, they're like, damn it, again? So this guy had been seen all over the area. And what I'm trying to understand is, like I say, from the time I took off, right, till I got that 3/4 of a mile, whatever it was, how the hell did he get from down there that fast? Right? Fastest human mile is 4 minutes. It's not conceivable to me that something human could have made it that far that quick. Same suit, same features, same little weird wiggle when it looked at me. You know what I mean? And I've seen some pretty weird stuff in my life, and that's just one of the strange things I've seen.
That is weird.
Yeah.
And you've told me that story like three times now, and it hasn't changed. And it's interesting that you were saying that it was like a guy in a clown suit wearing a werewolf mask, but yet you saw the ears obviously twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the encounters we had was from a guy named Jeff. Well, he doesn't go by, he likes to be called Jeffrey, which most men like to be called Jeff. So that's weird in of itself. But there was a guy named Jeffrey. This happened in Round Rock.
Can't be,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I know this doesn't make you more nervous because I know where you're at, and that's a very dark and spooky area. I've been out there.
Brother, there's been stuff that has happened to myself and to Sergeant Dickerson. She was going to tell you about this the other day. She didn't get a chance to. The area where the old habitation is.
Hmm.
So she was parked over there. She swears to God somebody came up and knocked on her window.
Yeah, and it was weird because when I was talking to your partner,
Yeah.
your business partner,
Yeah.
and and I had been sent there by my business partner to talk to him,
Yeah.
and so we were talking, and it was weird because he saw something,
Yeah.
and he took out his flashlight while we were talking, and he was like, "What is that? Did y'all see a guy walk?" And we saw somebody walk by the truck. My wife,
Yeah.
when we got in the truck to leave, she was like, "Yeah," she's like, "Right around the time he pulled out his flashlight," she goes, "I thought I saw somebody walk by the window." And she goes, and then I look and there was nobody there.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's all over out here, man, all the time.
Mhm.
People knocking on windows. I drive that old Forerunner,
Mhm.
and I'm telling you, I will be sitting there, man, and something will shake the whole truck, and I'm looking around thinking, did I move? Is the wind blowing? Just a ton of odd things, man. And then when you're out there at night, especially you've been up all night, you think it's your mind playing tricks on you. But I'm telling you, man, there's just been too many times where myself, you've seen it for yourself. Other people have been out there, have seen it. There's something here, man.
There is.
Something going on out here, brother.
Mhm.
They have disturbed, when they put this here, they disturbed something.
For sure.
They truly did. They disturbed something because there is a lot going on out here, man, for one place.
Right there across the highway from where you're at, this guy named Jeff, or Jeffrey, like to be called, told us a story of, and there's a park right there.
Yeah.
When he was 17 years old, he was walking through that park with his girlfriend who was a year younger than him.
Yeah.
They saw what looked like, they saw a leg like dangling from a tree.
Mhm.
Right? And it was Halloween time. It was that time. So there would be people in masks. It would make sense, right?
Right.
And in fact, it was October 18th that he told me this story, and it was 2015. And he said there was like a leg dangling from a tree. He said, because we got closer, he goes, all you saw was the leg. You didn't see anything attached to it. And then we look up, and there's this dark black body that was almost shaped like an egg, is the way he described it. And it kind of unfurled itself, and it looked like the head of it was a wolf-like creature. And the arms looked like they were kind of tucked in together, and it came out, and then he saw the other leg go over the side, and there were like two legs coming down.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that was that they had these big red shoes, like, like Ronald McDonald shoes is the way he described it. And it would sound funny if you hadn't had so many people talking about these things. You would be like, Ronald McDonald is up in a tree with a werewolf mask on. The interesting thing is that it is literally kind of catty corner from where you're at.
Yeah.
So we drove through there the other night, just kind of looking to see if we could see the location of where this was. And we believe we may have found where we think it might have happened. He doesn't live in Round Rock anymore. He lives up in Plano. So that's, pretty good hike, but he's not down here to show us. But he told me, he says, talk to my brother. My brother still lives in Pflugerville. So I did.
Yeah.
And his brother actually called the police one night because right after they saw this thing jumped down out of the tree and it began to chase them. Him and his girlfriend at the time, Jeffrey, jumped over this fence and ran through an area which was under construction at that time, and they got away from this creature because it veered off and went in the woods. His brother started to make fun of him, and then they were in the back patio smoking a cigarette. His brother was a little older than him. And he is mocking him. While he's mocking him, his cigarette goes out. Like somebody went, psh. And then the window goes like something hit it, and there was a weird crack that went up and then jutted off into like a fork. Jeffrey believes that this thing they saw may have been a demon of some kind, and that it was mimicking, whatever.
Yeah.
And when his brother mocked him about it, this happened. Shortly after that, he was outside talking on the phone to his girlfriend. That's his brother, right? I don't know his name. His brother looks up in a tree and sees what looks like this big bird-like entity, and it jumped off of the tree, humanoid-looking bird-like entity, and it swooped over the house and was gone. His brother believed, because he's, they're Hispanic, right? His brother believed that it was a lechuza. And he believed, to this day, he believes that it was something. I talked to him, that his brother brought back to the house, because for the next 2 or 3 years after he moved out, something stalked him and it would always be up in a tree. So, shapeshifter, I don't know.
I'll tell you funny. It's funny that you say that. Um, so we went to Thailand, right? Where I grew up after we moved here from Louisiana, right?
Mhm.
And we went to the house my great grandfather passed away in, right? And of course, it had burned, many many years ago. And we got like there's this wall that separated his property from old man Shelby's property, right?
Mhm.
And my wife and I got like some bricks right from this wall, right? And like a rock or something. And we brought it back from Tyler. And bro, I'm telling you, it got creepy because the entire time we had lived there, right? I'd never once in the middle of the night had I gotten up and felt cold spots in my house or anything like that. Dude, our cats, right? I truly believe cats can see a spiritual realm that we cannot, and that there are protectors in the spiritual realm. And I say that because the cats would just stop, dude. They would stop and piss at the air. You know what I mean? And we had like, we're crazy cat people, man. So we got like 6 cats, and they would just bunch up and they would hiss at the air, man. They would get between us and something else that was in that room. And it was just absolutely odd, man. And the creepiest, weirdest stuff started happening. I'm telling you, man, nightmares. Like I say, you would wake up in the middle of the night, swear it was so cold you could see your breath. And I was out on the back porch, and I still drank at the time, and I'm having a cigarette, I'm drinking a beer, and I set my beer down, man. And I just opened it and I sat it down. And I looked over because I swore I thought I saw somebody standing on the end of my porch, man. I swear I thought I saw somebody standing there. I stopped, I turned around, and then I turned and I reached back for my beer, and it was gone. Okay, well, I'd had a couple of beers. Maybe I'd set it too close to the end. It dropped off. I didn't see it over the edge. Then again, I didn't really terribly look too hard, right? But it was things like that. You would always catch something out of the corner of your eye, or you would, just wake up and you'd swear to God for those first couple seconds, somebody was standing in your doorway staring at you, and you got like 5 cats between you and whatever's at there, you know what I mean, in your door.
Mhm.
So for somebody to say, yeah, man, I think he brought something back to the house is extremely plausible. All right, because spirits do. I can tell you this for being in the church. Very much, I believe that spirits attach themselves to entities, to things, right? And it can be the strangest thing. Because if it's somewhere that it died and you take a piece of where it died and you take that somewhere else, I think it's very plausible that they can attach themselves to that and go for a ride.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we talked about the whole vampire thing too, because you have studied the whole vampirism, over the years. You were telling me we had a couple of very interesting conversations in person and on the phone. And you were telling me at one of our accounts one night that you literally you have this theory, and it was I'm not even joking, folks. It was literally identical to what I thought, and we actually talked about it on the show, and you and I had talked about it the next day. You didn't watch the show, you didn't see the show, but we were talking about it, and your theory about what this vampire is. You called it a predator, but what did you want to expound on it? Tell the audience.
well, I mean, which type are we talking about exactly?
Well, what you had said was there was something in our past. That's what you were telling me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as far as that goes, okay, so it and the human history, right? So one of our innate fears as human beings, right, is the fear of something that's identical to us, until it's too late, right? You can't tell that it's not human until it attacks, right? So somewhere along our evolutionary chain, right, something had to be a predator to install that fear. Okay, let's take this for instance, right? When we walk somewhere and we do things, you notice how we never look up.
Yeah.
Right. When we think about danger, we never look up. Right. Because I don't think we've actually had any predators that came from the sky. Okay. That's not something that's ingrained to us. It's not something that we're, afraid of. People are terrified of water because we've got predators we know in the oceans, right? We're terrified of the woods. We're terrified of jungles for a reason. So everything there's a reason we have these fears, right? So there has been something in human history that has been a predator to us, right? And think about this: every single culture on the face of this earth, whether they've had contact or not, right? They're supposed to have not had contact, but don't get me into what I think about the resets and this and this and that, right?
Mhm.
We talked about that too. I think there have been thousands of probably resets on this planet.
Yeah, I do too.
It's trillions of years old, man. There's no telling how many rises and falls there have been. But every single culture that we've heard of and that we know about has a vampire like entity, has something that feeds upon the blood, right? Has something that rises from the dead, has something that looks human until it attacks.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think there's definitely been some sort of predator. And I heard an interesting theory the other day. Somebody said, well, look, man, what if, because we were talking about vampires, and he said, what if there's like a natural predator, right? And what it does is it wakes up every once in a while, it drinks down the population, right? Causes a war, causes this, causes that, so it just kind of blends in, right? Drinks down the population, then it goes to sleep for a couple 100,000 years, lets us rebuild, and then it comes back.
Yeah.
About that. Somebody told me about that the other day, and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, and there are many different types of these creatures, but I believe the way you were talking about how they hitchhike, that's something we talked about too.
Yeah.
Because these people that practice vampirism and lycanthropy, they always talk about the other, this creature that attaches itself to the back, the spine. And then they go, and this thing can see through their eyes, and they go through their daily lives or whatever. And this thing is recording everything. They sees everything and knows everything that they know, but they don't know everything that it knows. They just get a little bit of it, and then, but it's really, they're being commandeered by a demon.
Oh, dude,
For all intents and purposes.
absolutely.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
what I think.
Yeah, I right, man. Because think about it like this. So most of the time, okay, look. So if we look at the Bible and we look at other, ancient texts, right?
Mhm.
Demons are always willing to trade, right? They're always willing to barter, correct? Oh man, well, you do this for me, I'll do this for you, right? Let's take King Solomon. Where the hell did he get his minds from? A vampiric demon because he made a deal.
Yeah.
Demons are always right. Demons are always making deals, man. So think about it like this. Let's say that you've got Billy Bob, right? Billy Bob's a good old boy, swills beer, drives a 1967 F-150, basic salt of the earth type guy. Then all of a sudden, Billy Bob wakes up one day, right? Things are different. Now, some of these demons, these spirits, right, that attach themselves, I don't think that they're all malevolent. Right? Think about it like this. If it attaches itself to you, right, and it's getting in your mind, and it's setting itself up to be able to know what you know, see what you see, be able to do what you do, it's going to give something back to you in trade, right? So think about it. Like I said, Billy Bob wakes up and all of a sudden Billy Bob knows math like you couldn't believe. He knows equations, right? He speaks ancient Latin. He speaks, 20 languages. Billy Bob could barely form a sentence when he went to sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
I've
think-
met people who they're just most of the time somebody's dumb. They're going to be dumb their whole life. They're not going to, because IQ is the capacity to learn. That's
exactly.
really what it is. Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen some people. Certainly, I've met some people through the church back in the day that I mean, literally, if you would listen to them, they could barely form a sentence. They go off and they go to. I remember, oh Christ, what were those kids? I can't remember the kid's name. He went on a tour with his family, and they went to they went all through they went all through South America. They toured Rome and Spain, and they just went on this big 6-month adventure, all across North America and Europe. And when they came home, right, 6 months later, because the father had won some type of lawsuit or something, the whole thing, you know what I mean? I think the mom was a nurse and the dad was like a mechanic or something. I mean, we'd won something and they'd just come into all this money all of a sudden, right? And this was way back in 92 or 3 or whatever. And they went on, like I said, they went on the 6-month tour and they, just said, that's just what he woke up and decided, hey, that's what we're going to do with this money is we're going to take a 6-month tour, right? And when they came back, I don't know if it's because maybe the children had 6 good months of education, maybe traveling around, learning things, talking to people. But all 4 of their children were extremely well spoken and behaved when they came back.
Hmm.
I mean, literally. I remember the son, he was 12. You could sit down and have a conversation with him and you would think he was in his 60s, the way he talked. This wasn't the same child that left. And were they invaded by something? Probably. Was it malevolent? I don't know. Because nobody ever complained.
Well, going back to your experience, what you saw, that the clown, like,
Yeah.
what do you, okay, so first let's ask this question. Do you think that it was an actual werewolf demon, or what do you think it was?
I mean, if I were to just call it off the top of my head, I would think it was a confused shapeshifter.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, think about it though, right? If you've got something that can assume any form, right? And maybe or it could just have one form and it has enough mental control over things around it to make you believe it looks a certain way, right? If it doesn't actually look that way. I mean, so there's a reason people are afraid of clowns. There's a reason for that, right? But why would you have a clown and a werewolf together, right?
Yeah.
That would certainly be terrifying to someone. You know what I mean? And it was terrifying to me. It freaked me all the way out because I didn't know what the hell to think. Think about it like this, right? Let's say that let's say if you have shapeshifters, right? And they may not be from this realm. Okay. They may be from a parallel dimension. They come in and they're getting all this information, right? They're getting all this information and they're like, well, shit. Okay. People are afraid of this. People are afraid of that. So I know what's going on. Let's just make people afraid of me. Okay. Well, I'm running around out here at night. Okay. Confuse the shit out of everybody. And it's just snatching images and it throws something together and there it is. Or I could be full of shit. I don't.
Well, you're postulating on theories, though. I mean, and the second question to what you saw, what is the significance of the clown, in your opinion? Why do people see that?
I don't know. Maybe because so many people love clowns, right? It's trying to somehow make you feel at ease, but yet its savage nature or its dangerousness is showing through, and you're interpreting that. Your own mind is saying, okay, well, it's mostly harmless, but it could mess you up really bad if it needs to, right? Man, I'm going to be honest. I'm just shooting in the dark here. I have no idea. I, I mean, if I really I really haven't thought about it. It's just not something that I've actually, that's a good question. I'm actually going to I have to sit back and think about that.
Erica says nobody loves clowns. Kids do when they're young, but there are a lot of kids that don't. But clowns are very popular. They go to birthday parties. I mean, Ronald McDonald was a clown, and it got kids to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, Bozo the Clown. Remember that guy?
Mhm.
Chicago?
I used to watch his show. He had Cookie was his sidekick, right?
Yeah, he stole the damn thing. What was he stole like the sandbag and the bucket?
Yeah, the little ball. It was a ping pong ball, I believe.
Yeah, ping pong ball. Yeah.
Yeah, unless the Mandela effect changed it to a sandbag. Who knows?
Bro, look, there's just so much, man. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm telling you that the Fruit of the Loom always had a cornucopia. I remember
Oh, yeah.
I remember the dudes. Remember the Fruit of the Loom commercials with the guys?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Somebody just Anna says red-haired Nephilim and clowns. Yes, exactly. They're always red-haired, right? And the giants were red-haired, the Nephilim red-haired. And some people have made a connection between clowns and the Nephilim, like the mask. There's like a mask that they wear, and it hides the evil edifice. Their face is so ugly that they use that as a mask to hide it. And then over the years, they just became equated with evil because, the gesture was always, it became a mischievous symbol, something that was always causing mischief and mayhem.
Well, I mean, the thing is about that is they talk about the Nephilim, but it's said in the Bible, these were heroes of old, men of great renown, right? So why would they equate them being heroes at one time and then the ultimate villain the next, that God had to drown the world to get rid of them? Now, some of the stories about they became so big, their appetite, they went from, they were eating people out of house and home, then they started eating people, things of that nature, right? Certainly, if that was true, I could understand. But there's a lot of holes in these stories, a lot of mystery, man. I mean, there's something missing, right? And as someone who spent a lot of time in religious text, I can tell you there's always more to the story, and there's something that we're not getting. And that's right in front of us, and we're not seeing it.
Yeah, because I believe there's a connection between the shape-shifting, these Nephilim that look like clowns, these ones that look like werewolves, and then these vampire entities. There's got to be a connection there. Each one has a function, obviously, in the food chain or the environment.
Exactly. And that's why when I first I was watching these I formed this opinion, right? When I was probably like 5 or 6, and my grandmother told me, she said, "Go sit down somewhere." And I asked her, I said, "Well, Granny, it doesn't make any sense." So we live in Louisiana back then, right? And you're raised around this type of stuff, voodoo and all this other stuff. It's commonplace. My grandmother was a nurse, and it was just a hodgepodge. Really most of my adolescence was spent in the break room, at the hospital at Jefferson Parish. Hell, it's not even there anymore. Charity hospital. But I told her this, and I think I've said this to you before too. How can, right? Let's take the vampire, right? Because I've heard some quotes, and I think Anne Rice kind of summed it up in an interview with the vampire when she had Lestat say, "We are God's predator because none are so unlike him as us, right? As us, right? No, nothing is more like God than we are. He kills indiscriminately, and so do we, right?" So how can something be the top of the food chain, right? Because I mean, if a vampire was here, it would be the top of the food chain. There's nothing really we could probably do about it. But sun would smash it. All you would have to do is drag it out in the light, or a piece of wood would kill it.
Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
The legends don't make sense. But it could be people just coming up with things that they could do, kind of like the Fae. When they cause you problems, you take iron nails and throw them at them.
Or spill some grains of salt out.
Yeah.
You gotta count them. They gotta count them. Well,
Vampires do the
they
same.
gotta count 'em.
Interesting that vampires have the same mechanism that makes them tick as the fairies. You know, that they'll stop and count. You know,
Isn't
it's
that
a weird thing. And then iron is supposedly, and then they have to be invited in. I mean, you know, but there's like different things that they do. But to me, the vampire is just a demon that found a human.
I think
That's
so.
what it is.
I think so. I think you're very correct. I think it is demon possession.
Mm-hmm.
I think that very well could be. Because I mean it would make the most sense. Because I mean people's personalities, right? Just don't change overnight. And the lore, I mean, it's fascinating, but you know, it's because okay, look, so if you look at the lore, right, of the vampire and you look in Europe, right? Before Count Dracula, before all this other stuff, vampires were ghouls, man.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't. They people who were murderers or redheads. Again, the redhead. You hear me?
Yeah.
Damn redheads, man. People were redheaded. They committed suicide. They were criminals, right? They would raise as vampires, right? They would turn in this, and the hunger would hit them, and they would have to dig themselves up out of the ground. And these things were ghouls, right? Just literal ghouls. But then you go over and you look at the legends from Greece. You know, there's like 2 or 3 different kinds that have been around. You know, I mean, hell, that's where the legend of lycanthropy came from. Greece, you know, supposedly that's where the vampire came from too.
Vampires been around since before.
Vampires have been around.
Ancient Samaria. They've been around a long time, especially in the Levant region. I would think that if you look at these creatures, they kind of grew up beside each other, the werewolf and the vampire. One of them, I think, represents a possession that gives you the ability to shapeshift. The other one just gives you the qualities of a demon as a human. You're more camouflaged. You both have their advantages.
Right.
You can't turn into a big slobbering werewolf and run around a mall. You know?
I think with vampirism, you tend to be longer lived. So,
yeah, they actually, from what I have understood, is that the werewolf actually has a lifespan just slightly longer than a human. They age a little bit slower, and then the vampire is actually, it can live for like several lifetimes. You know, but the werewolf can get a quicker body count real fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing, you know, that the strength and the things that they can do,
strength and the speed,
that's
and
what makes them very appealing to military type.
Well, it does. It does. I mean, hell. I mean, look at the super soldier serum, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what meth was supposed to be, right? When the Nazis came up, you know, the Nazis were like, hey, you know, they were experimenting with stuff and going, hey, you know, how do we keep these guys going on the battlefield? Oh shit, let's make some P2P. Let's do this, and you know, let's get it going. That was a version of the super soldier serum, right? I mean, the Nazis were very much into the occult. You know, the Spear of Destiny and whatnot. They just, I mean, they had an entire division of the Thule who went out, and they, you know, they're part of the SS, man. They went out.
They had SS divisions that helped them. Yeah. In particular, there was one unit that went out with that, but the Thule was, they were not supposed to have actually existed, but there was a unit that supposedly went out into Asia, and the Germans spearheaded it, no pun intended, and to look for the spear.
Yeah.
And one of the divisions was a pioneer. They call it the Pioneer Division. There was a mountain division. They were very, very tough, and they were part of the Wehrmacht, not necessarily the SS. They were not part of the SS. And some of those people came back and they talked about some of the weird things that they saw.
Yeah.
And supposedly they were all taken in when the Russians took over, when they coming across Europe. They were taken by the Red Army and debriefed and put in the gulag, and the secrets died with them. That particular division was on the Eastern Front near Leningrad when they were swallowed up because they didn't make it back into Germany, and the Red Army overtook them. The Thule, the White Order of Thule, I believe those people ended up in Argentina with their Führer.
I believe they did.
Yeah. So that's what I think happened with them. I think they were part of his inner circle, and I think he was instrumental. I'm not going to get into it, but he was instrumental in the fundamental creation of the state of Israel. And that's a weird thing. People don't understand how that works. I'm not going to get into all the mechanisms of it, but it would not have been if it wasn't for what they did.
Well, look at the coins, man.
Yeah.
Look at the coins. I mean, that's undeniable proof, And where were they found? Boxes and boxes were found under a church in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Menorah on one side and swastika on the other.
And there was another weird thing about that too. There were symbols that were Hindi symbols that were written in Tamil, in the state of Tamil in India, the province of Tamil, where they found the Star of David, what they call the Star of David, which is the six-pointed star, and then there's a swastika in the middle of it carved into these temples. I mean, there's pictures of this. I mean, there's pictures of it. I mean, these things date back according to, like over 4,500 years ago.
Yeah.
So there is a weird duality there that we all just kind of ignore and go, well, it's just a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. They're supposedly diametrically opposed, but they're not really, are they? And then it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing.
And then this is something that I mean, I've noticed all of a sudden lately on the internet, right? Why all of a sudden are you so interested in cursed Templars?
Mm-hmm.
Right? All of a sudden now they're talking about this, and they're talking about that. The Templars and the Rings of Solomon and supposedly all this stuff. Why is that so entertaining all of a sudden? Why is that being even talked about? I mean, there's an interesting story where that lore comes from, right? But I certainly can't say that I know anything more than, a couple of books that I've read. But I will say this, and this is no joke, that I would say that probably 3 miles around the Vatican are catacombs full of books and scrolls and things from the past. And if you want to read something in the Vatican's library, right? If you want to go under there, you have to know what you're looking for, what book it's in, and what page it's on. How is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's damn near impossible to get in there and to say, hey, well, I would just like to go look around for a few hours. You know what I mean?
Richard says the prophet Amos warned you the star of their god Chion, Remphan, or Saturn, which is Satan, and their tabernacle is a tabernacle of Moloch. Yep. Yeah, we're warned about that for sure. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate you're coming on, Chris, and I'll let you get back to it. I know you got to work and do your job, but keep an eye out there, dude, because it is a creepy place where you're at.
Now, we were just sitting there talking. I was just sitting there looking out my window. I swear, I just saw somebody walk over there by where the connexes are. And there's
Maybe in
no
person, maybe not. I know that place is a spooky place. I don't envy you guys.
It could be a lot worse. As a matter of fact, what was it?
I can't hear you. You're not coming in.
No, just Dickerson had told me about something that happened to her the other night. in the back.
At least on the other end of the place, you have, even though it's a big place, you have a backup. You have someone there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you guys are armed, so that's good. All right. Well, I'm going to let you hit it, Chris.
I think that, just, I don't think guns, tasers, and sprays would really work against too much out here.
No. Somebody asked a question in the chat before we run. What year did that happen? What you saw there, the wolf clown thing?
I want to say that was back in 2021, maybe. Oh, 2020. Yeah.
So 5 years ago.
I don't remember COVID happened yet or not.
I believe it was 2020 because I think that's what you told me. You said that it was right at the beginning of COVID.
I think it was, yeah, because they, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, and then somebody had said, well, hey, could it have possibly been a hazmat suit and maybe just like some kind of respirator? And I'm like, yeah, that'll give you. Oh, I almost dropped an F-bomb on your show. I'm sorry. But yeah,
It happens.
That'll give you super speed, man. You know what I mean? That'll definitely get you a mile in, a minute.
Another question. Unreal Estate Agent 007 says luminous eyes at all?
No.
No. Yeah, I knew the answer to that one because you had told me. I already asked that question. It had a mask. At least that's what you thought. But then.
Well, that's what I thought until I noticed the ear. Dude, I'm telling you, the ears twitched. Look, so there's a state where when you see something that you cannot believe, okay, your body, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but have you ever seen something that you know what you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't believe it, but then it's like something inside of you, something ancient clicks in, and then all of a sudden your eyesight's better. Have you ever done shrooms? I'm sure you have. Okay, well, yeah. All right, then.
Yeah, I think everybody knows the answer to that one.
Okay, well, I didn't want to. Yeah. But here's the thing, man. So when you do shrooms, it's how your eyesight becomes incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see things 10 times better. You hear better. I'm telling you, man, I got so freaked out when I saw this. Something kicked in, and my eyesight zoomed. Brother, and this is honest to God truth. I wear glasses. I didn't have to wear my glasses for about 4 hours afterwards. I could see. I'm telling you, I zoomed in. I saw this, and it freaked me freak out. I'm telling you, I don't know what I saw. I know it was real. That's all I can tell you to this day is I know absolutely it was real. And as far as luminous eyes go, no. But when he was coming across and the spotlight hit, right? On animals' eyes, when a spotlight will hit it, it'll get that, not a glow, but you know what I mean? Definitely had that. What the fuck is this back here? Seriously.
So how tall was it? If you had to estimate, because I know you weren't close.
About 6'5".
About 6'5", yeah.
Yeah, it was well over 6 foot because I remember, so they had set the tree markers, right? They had set the tree markers at 6 foot out there, right? And this thing, and I'm telling you, it loomed over the tree marker. So the tree markers came to about its shoulder. So you're probably looking another 6-7 inches or more for the head. The neck, maybe a foot.
Wow.
It was big.
Large creature.
Large creature. I don't want to waste my bullets. I didn't think they would have helped.
And folks, Chris has told me this story since we first met. So, he's not, nothing's changed. This would now be the fourth time.
Yeah.
You told me on the phone, you told me tonight, and then you told me at one site that was ours and then the other site that was yours.
Yeah.
So that's 4 times. You've told the same story. It hasn't changed.
It's not going to. I mean, the more you talk about it, the more you can think about things, right?
Yeah.
But, and the more maybe little pieces you remember here and there, but it's always the same. I saw it. I tried to get the hell out of there, and then there it was again. Like it was taunting me, or it was trying to give me a message. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking about this today. Was it trying to tell me something? Was it trying to say, hey, everything that you've thought about, everything you postulated, everything that you've seen, you know, I told you my cousin called me death touched, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's way into the shamanism side of our, family, being native and whatever. But, he said it all stems from that car wreck I had when I was a kid and I was dead. He said it all stems from that. He said, I brought a knowledge from the other side back. I brought a sight.
Yeah. And that is a story for another time, because what people don't know is that you died.
So good.
Chris actually died, and then he was a heart attack, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He was resuscitated, and after that, weird stuff. So one day we're going to record with you, Chris, and you can tell the whole story, and it'll be an episode for you, and you can tell that story and many others, because Chris has a lot of stuff that's happened, especially since that incident. So we're going to get on with the show. But Chris, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on, brother. Thank you.
So you be safe out there, guys. Pray for Chris that he doesn't have any, because I've been out there and it is a weird, spooky place. Anthony can attest to that too.
It's dark out there.
It is so dark and creepy out there, dude. You hear stuff and you see
Come
stuff.
in here and hang out after the show. Hang out. So,
No,
know.
I got to get up tomorrow. I got things I got to do. I don't want to be out there with some boogeyman out there, and I don't mean
Oh,
you.
I'm telling you,
You got Dickerson out there. So
we got Dickerson and we got what's his face back there in the back. Who the hell is that driving around? There's nobody else out here. Let's see what's going on, man. All right.
I'll see you.
See you, brother. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye.
So that is our friend Christopher Burke. He owns a security company. I own a security company, and his partner and him were subcontracting for us at one time, and he's worked with us 2 different times. So, and then on multiple accounts. Most recently, we had one that they were doing, and it finished. But a pretty amazing guy. He was he's a vet, and he was in the priesthood and just decided it wasn't for him. He liked girls, like women. He's like, I want to be with a woman. I want to get married, and I don't want to just do this. So that's what he did. He left. Takes all kinds. I don't judge. I don't have any kind of, whatever. I just know that when since we first talked to him and he found out that I had the paranormal show, that was the first story he told us.
Yeah.
And it was unprompted, and I didn't have to go, hey, do you have anything about werewolves? No, he just told me this is what happened to me. He goes, I was on duty one night, and this is what happened.
Yeah, Chris is very much an open book kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. So it is a weird thing. But let me tell you, he's not the only person that's seen this kind of weird stuff. Putting 2 and 2 together, a werewolf, a vampire, a clown. So you're asking now, like, what? There's a vampire element to this too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's what happened to Juliet, right? Very beautiful name, very beautiful young lady, very nice, right? Her and her boyfriend went to Roswell for a UFO convention. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. They were actually working it. They had a little UFO conference or whatever there. And they were staying at a hotel out on the edge of town. And I'm not going to get into the hotel, but the hotel apparently has a ghost, if you want to call it that, that will go into people's rooms. More than once, it has been described in different ways as an alien, as a wolf-like creature, and also as a clown. But this clown, when it was seen by Juliet, not her boyfriend, because he was passed out of sleep, she could not wake him up. She tried to wake him up, and his name was Chris, is her boyfriend. And she tried to wake him up, and Chris would not wake up, no matter what. And it was really a really weird thing. His name is not Christopher, though. His name is Christian, but it's Chris for short, is what she called him. And so Chris was asleep, and this thing opened the door to their bedroom. She goes, I promise you, 110%, 1,000%. It was locked, bolted, and there was a little, it was done. She said, this thing opened the door and just walked in. She said, the way it walked, though, was weird. It was like it glided. Now, we've heard this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
This thing just kind of floated. Well, I said floated. She said, if I had to say, I'd say glided. She says glided. I say floated. The way she described it to me sounds kind of like it floated, but she used the words glide. So I'm going to use her words. When somebody says, this is what then I'm going to give it to them. They're the witness, not me. I wasn't there. So this thing glided in. She said it looked like it bent itself over almost in a U. She said that it flopped back up. And when it came back up, this ugly, nasty, it looked like a reddish hair sticking all over its head, sticking out in all these different directions. And while she's staring at this thing, she sees these really pronounced fangs. And then at the bottom of its mouth, which is really weird, there was one sticking up in the very middle where the insiders would be.
Yeah.
There was one really sharp tooth right there, and the rest were flat. And she said that it walked towards her, and when it got toward the bed, its hands came out, and it was trying to manipulate her. And she said it must have been working because felt like I was coming up off of the bed. She goes, and I'm not going to lie, I remember just standing up on the bed. She goes, and the way I was getting up off of the bed, she goes, I just looked down and I just realized my feet were barely touching the mattress, and now I was coming up off the bed. She's like, and this thing opened its mouth. She goes, and I've heard this a few times too, several times actually. It was almost like its jaws unhinged, like, elongated. And it was like it was going to bite her. And she goes, and I was turning my head sideways involuntarily to expose the left side of my neck to this being. She said at that point, she goes, I could just see my eyeballs. I could move my eyes from left to right. She goes, and I saw the clock. She goes, and on the clock, it said 5:02. 5:02 in the morning. She goes, and as fate would have it, or luck, or whatever, I don't believe in luck. I don't know. I think it was the will of God, my opinion. She's like, somebody tried messing with the door handle, tried opening the door. And I could hear these two guys like they were talking. These guys were talking. And she goes, and one of them was like, no, dude, that's the wrong. Ours is next to this. This is the wrong. And they sounded drunk because it was Sunday morning. It was Saturday night going into Sunday morning, right? The conference was on Saturday. She goes, and we had a few drinks at the after party, and then we went home, or went to the hotel, not home. They live in California, San Jose, quite a hike. But there was a drive, and they were going to make a trip out of it on the way back. They were going to go to Ruidoso and blah, 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 and keep going. She said that she goes, I felt like I was in imminent danger and that this thing was going to drain my blood. And in the morning, I would be just a husk laying there. My husband was going to find me, and they were going to say, oh, she passed in the night. This is the thought that was going on in her head. She goes, and she thinks that this wasn't just in her head. It was being relayed by this creature. And it was telling her, you're going to be found deceased. No heartbeat, no pulse. Your heart just stopped. But your blood was drained. And they're not going to see it. They're not going to know. Because all they're going to know is that you just had a cardiac arrest. Heart stopped. So what a wonderful being is telling you this. He's nice enough to tell you how you're going to go out. She begins to relay her own message to this creature. She's like, let me tell you something. And her first words were to this creature, I'm a child of God. I believe in Christ. And her words, she goes, I couldn't talk. And then suddenly I blurted out the words, Christ, deliver me. And then she screamed, and this creature kind of stopped, closed its mouth, shrunk down, not literally shrunk, but my words, it got down. And then it began to back up and go into the shadows of the wall. And those guys were fumbling at the door. It turned and looked toward the door. And it just kind of hid in the shadows. She goes, and all I could see was this white, pale face. Very clown-like. The nose, red, but like a painted, not a round ball, but like a human nose. It was painted red, like a triangle.
Yeah.
And she goes, and it faded she goes, I could see his eyes, very white, glowing. And she goes, and all I saw was it blinking like that in the corner of the room. And when the guys started to push on the door, and the other guy said, I think we're in the wrong, whatever, they kept on, it kind of hissed in their direction. And then they said, okay, man. And they just walked laughing, moving down the hallway. She said something that those guys did that might have taken 4 or 5 seconds was stretched out into minutes. It felt like several minutes were going by.
Mm-hmm.
And then she fell back on the bed, and then she was asleep, and she wakes up, and it's 8 a.m. She looks at the clock. It's 8:08. Her boyfriend is up. He's brushing his teeth. He just got out of the shower. He jumps on the bed and starts talking to her, and she's just like, I had the worst nightmare ever. He had nothing happen at all. He slept like a baby.
It happens a lot. Like the husband will be passed out asleep. Like even if they're normally a light sleeper, I mean, it's either the husband or the wife. Like one of them will be in the middle of experiencing something in their bedroom, and the other one, they'll be like knocked out, like almost unconscious, and they can't wake them up no matter what they do. Notice that?
Yeah. Well, do you remember Kent?
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember, from Buffalo.
Yeah.
This guy was going to University of Buffalo, and he had his girlfriend over. His mother, he was Armenian. His mother didn't like this girl. She wanted him to marry an Armenian woman. And he fell in love with this girl. She was Dutch and native. And he was like, no, I like her. I want to be with her. Blah, blah, blah. She was from the Catskills. And they were both New York natives, not New York City, New York, the state. Very large place. It's just people always think of New York City. He's like, we're going to U of B. He's like, it's cold as hell because it's always cold in Buffalo. He's like, it's November. It's a few days after Thanksgiving. Remember we talked about that corridor. He gets literally drug off the bed. He gets his hair pulled. A chunk of hair comes out, and something throws him against a desk in his college dorm.
Mm-hmm.
His girlfriend and his college dorm mate, who was one of his best friends, neither one of them woke up or heard anything. He was attacked by an invisible entity, and when he woke up, he had what looked like bite marks on his shoulder, his neck, or his throat, sorry, and his right above his right nipple, right, and his arm. I don't know which arm. I just know his shoulder, arm, throat, and his right above on his chest, on his pec. This thing had bit him. It obviously had small things, but it had a big mouth, and it was invisible. The only thing he saw was a little bit of pixelation when it was doing all of this. Now, I can't tell you this was a vampire or a werewolf or any kind of demon like that, but the fact is that it threw Kent all over the place, right? Threw him everywhere. His dad is absolutely convinced. He's not Armenian. His mother is. But his dad was absolutely convinced that this was a demon, and that his dad told him that his brother, not him, but his brother had been attacked by this kind of a demon from upstate New York near Rochester, where they grew up. And that this thing had attacked them on multiple occasions, and he watched his brother be thrown around the room. But for months, when it first started, he was 7 years old. And his brother was, he says, his brother was 2 years old. His brother was 9. He was 7. This is Kent's dad, right? His dad said, he goes, I don't know what it is. It was a family thing or what? He goes, my mother is native. My dad is Dutch, just like the girl that he was dating. Dad liked her. Mom didn't. Then he went out with this Armenian girl that was sort of picked by his mom's family. Mom loved her. Dad didn't. Never on the same page. He goes, but they had been married. Now they've been married for 37 years, and they just celebrated their anniversary back in October. So 37 years going on 38 coming up in October. So congratulations to them. This young man told me this story, right? Happened years ago. Like I think 11 years ago. So it'd been like 2014. Nobody woke up. He goes, I got thrown around the room. I broke a computer screen. Nobody woke up. Nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. It was just my word. He's like, and then my girlfriend came out and blurted out. She mocked me and said she didn't believe it. He's like, I'll never forget it. We're on a road trip. We're down in Pennsylvania. We stopped at we were talking about this. I think it was yesterday, Wawa, right?
Mhm.
We stopped at a Wawa. We get into a huge fight. She's like, I'm going home. He goes, I stay with my friend. Him and his girlfriend gave me a ride all the way back up to New York. They made a trip out of it. He goes, I stayed there. My girlfriend drove back home, got her stuff, and I didn't talk to her anymore. He said a few years later, he ran into her, and he goes, we kind of started up again, but it was just a fling, and then we went our separate ways, and we never really talked again after that. Because, but he goes, we ate dinner. We met for dinner. And she admitted to me, at this point, they had already graduated from college. And he tells me, he says, I remember her telling me. He goes, and it was like my head was swimming, and it was like all these memories came back when she started talking about it. She remembers a dream 2 years prior to her telling him this. This was 2 years, so it would have been 2 years after they broke up. Then 2 years after that, that's when she told it was 4 years later. She remembers a dream that he was being choked and thrown around a room by a shadowy looking demon with big ears, big pointy ears. And he asked her, he goes, I was very cognizant of that. I was like, were they ears or was it horns? Because he wanted to know. She said, no, I didn't have horns. It had ears, pointy, big ears. Big, jaggedy teeth and jade eyes. She used those words, like green. Not emerald, but like jade. Strange, weird stuff, right? So what if this stuff is to be believed? What is going on, right? And why was he bitten by this thing? You could postulate all day long. You could speculate that this thing is some kind of a demon that takes blood.
Mhm.
He said, his words to us, he felt anemic for a week. He was falling asleep in class like he didn't have any energy. He finally got looked at by a doctor exactly a week later. He said it was one of those Saturday clinics. He goes, I went in. He goes, the doctor had their assistant there, whatever. They did some tests. They found out that I was very anemic. Very weird. Is this something like what we're talking about? Are these shapeshifters? Are they demons? Are they werewolves, vampires, whatever they are? What did Chris see? This is just one of many.
It's one heck of a story.
Yeah. Chris is one of many, though, has told us these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is just willing to come on and talk about it. But I mean, you get all kinds of people telling you a lot of weird stuff. I could do a whole nother show on this, and I probably will. We're going to continue this. Maybe we'll do it on the podcast. So the pod people, and then the pod people are going to have stuff that was given to them on the YouTube, and they're going to go, "Oh, can you tell me more of this?" Oh, it's on YouTube. I mean, like, can you tell me more of this? Yeah, it's on YouTube. No, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. I mean, can you tell me more of it? I promise you, it's about that bad.
Just give me what I want right now. I don't want to tune in.
There is some sort of like disconnect there that we can't connect. Don't know what that is. But and Sage Cooley says, signing off early. It was a long day. I tell you what, me too. It's been a long day and I am wiped. I am so tired. I have more stories that I could sit here and talk about, but I am exhausted. And thank you to everybody who donated. Dick Richards says, you want to read that? My voice is about to go out.
Yeah, Proverbs chapter 30, verse 15 refers to a blood-sucking entity type called the horse leech. Look it up in the Strong's Concordance. It's a blood-sucking demon type.
Yeah, look it up in the Strong's Concordance. And of course, we have Orneus from Solomon, or Key of Solomon. So yeah, and thank you to everybody who donated. Like I said, I'm very tired. I am about to fall out. Another thing interesting about Chris and his story is that Chris has never changed it, and that's the 4th time I've heard it. We talked about that yesterday.
Mhm. That ear twitch really just.
He
did
always said that, and he always said the wave thing too, that it
Mhm.
waved. He never changed. He didn't add from the first time he told me. He didn't add something and go, "Oh, it waved." Oh yeah, there was an ear twitch. No.
it. Mhm.
It was that way from Jump Street. He always said that that's what it was. He hasn't changed his story. Another interesting thing was the guy with the Santa Claus.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something that just like takes the form of people that it consumes.
That's weird.
Mhm.
And Clarence told me that his girlfriend would be in Puerto Rico, and I was waiting for this. But there is something on the island of Puerto Rico. And he couldn't remember the name of it when he was telling me. And his girlfriend was already asleep, and he goes, "I'm going to call her," but he hadn't got back to me, and I forgot to get back with him. But I know what he's talking about. And in their culture, there's this thing on the island of Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
and it is like a shapeshifter. They believe that some of the people in Puerto Rico actually believe that the chupacabra is one of these creatures, not the other way around. Like, in other words, the chupacabra is a type of shapeshifter that this creature is.
Mhm.
And I forgot the name of it. There's a name for it. And it goes back to the natives that were there, the Caribbean Indians, the Carib Indians that were there. Like, they called it something. And it would take the form of a human, and then it would eat somebody and would go back to its regular form. But there were different types. And of those different types, the chupacabra is one. But the chupacabra was actually weaponized by the U.S. military. That's something that a lot of the Puerto Rican people believe.
Yeah.
Now, his mother coming from the island of Cuba. And in Cuba, they have something that they have that is very similar to this, very similar. And it's like a ghost, and it does the same thing. But oftentimes it presents itself as a child. It'll be like a native child, or like a child that's like poor in the poor neighborhoods where like there was an African influence there in Cuba. Okay. So in Cuba, it's weird. There's like white, black, and native people, and some of them are mixed up and some of them aren't. And you have these neighborhoods where there's like these little sections that are sort of like Africanized. And in those little subsets, and especially in Havana, which is a huge city, by the way, they have this creature that the Africans, and the name of it starts with an I. It's like Intulada or something like that. It's something Intulada or something like that, and it comes from West Africa, in particular Ivory Coast. And that creature is like a shapeshifter, and it'll appear as a little African child, like a boy, and somebody will feel crying, "Oh, my mother." And then you go up to it, and then it turns and it eats your face, and it like drinks your blood from your freaking eyes. It's crazy. So he was very versed in like the Caribbean culture. There's this creature, and all of the stories say the same thing. It originated in the ocean, right? So interesting stuff, weird stuff. Here at PRT, we get down in there in the nitty gritty. We talk about a lot of weird stuff. So if you like our content and you like what we're doing here, like and subscribe. If you feel the urge, donate. Help us out, help us stay on and keep the doors open and keep doing what we're doing. Sometimes it is a grind. Like today, I really could have used a night off. And I'll tell you why. Because I had 101 things to do. So that's 100 things to do that I had to do before I got here. So I am exhausted, and I'm going to go and I'm going to lay my head down and probably not wake up until tomorrow. Be the first time I've had a night's sleep in a long time.
Yeah, I think
almost getting stung by a scorpion. Destroying an ant mound.
the
brings
insects
back
were really
memories.
trying to kill us today, dude.
Not insects,
Weird.
because spiders and scorpions are arachnids. They are not insects.
Oh, bugs.
Bugs. Yeah. Slang term is bugs.
There was some huge wolf spiders skittering around in the grass when I was cutting it.
Wow.
Like there was something like they were like that big. just giant wolf spiders.
Leave them
just like
alone.
all
As
the-
long as they're out in the grass eating
yeah,
stuff.
no, I didn't mess with them.
Yeah, don't kill them.
Yeah.
Like, they do their job.
That's the only spider that I won't squish is a wolf
Yeah.
spider.
I've actually
I'll leave
caught
them
one the
alone.
other day and just took it and threw it out in the
Yeah.
yard. And then he turned and tried to run back toward me. So he was actually pretty cool. Like, I got down and took a piece of cardboard and I got him, and he almost got to my hand, and then I went and I threw him like that. Because even though he's big and gnarly, I know what he is. It doesn't really scare me. You know, it doesn't scare me as bad as like, and he was there hanging out, you know, by the desk. And what are you doing? And I picked him up and I took him outside. But yeah, they eat recluses. They'll eat anything they can get their little fangs into.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care. Put one in with a black widow. I've heard people do that. Like, and the widow that cannot hurt it because they're resistant to their venom.
Yeah.
So the wolf spider kills it, eats it. I know we caught some spiders back in the day, and Samson, you know, killed them. One of them was a recluse. And I told Scorpion not to do that because I thought maybe it would kill him, you know, if it bit him. And he just took his little pincers and just held it and just stung it. That thing flipped around. That thing was very formidable when you got claws like that and you could just hold your prey, and, you know. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff, dude. And the way they eat, they just start eating the head. The scorpion, it'll just hold it and it just eats it like, and you can just see its little mouth moving, and it just starts to consume it until it's just gone. You know, it's crazy. But it's weird because like you think that they would suck the juices out. It looked like to me the spider was like turning into like a husk, like a ball. But it was eating all the insides. Like, it was moving its mouth like this. Like, I saw it. Like, it was weird. And I thought, oh, it's not like how a spider just sucks out the juice. It looks like it's eating it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it looked like. And then all that was left was like a little, like the skin or whatever, like the exoskeleton. It's a weird thing, dude, when you watch them do it. I've seen mantises eat too. You know?
Oh yeah. They'll just like crunch into something.
Yeah. We used to call them crane mantises, like, you know, they're called praying mantises, but this one was like a crane. It's crane mantis. It's like a whitish green. And when we were kids, we called them that because they would stand like a crane, you know. And these things are very fascinating. And I fed them bugs when I was little, you know, when I was a kid. And I watched them eat. And they would just stand there like this, and then they would, you know, and they would just pounce on it, and then it was over. It was like, whoa. You know, the bug is just sitting there doing what it's doing, and the next thing you know, the mantis is just on it. It's like and we called them crane because they would stand there like they were, you know, like they were doing the Karate Kid crane kick, you know. That was just a slang term we had for them, but they are weird, but they're fascinating too. So, yeah, etymology is very interesting. It's another little sideline I used to read about, and, you know. And if you didn't know, Shark Week is coming on because it already passed, but it's going to be streaming starting, I think, tomorrow. So if you're interested in sharks like I am, check it out because I like a lot of stuff. Yesterday, me and my wife got to see a scissor-tailed, I can't remember the name of it, scissor-tailed, I don't know what it was called. My wife has pictures of it, and we got to watch it in a tree at the grocery store in the parking lot of my hometown. Beautiful cherry blossom tree, and this mama and daddy bird, the scissor-tailed bird, I forgot what it's called exactly. But it was feeding its little babies. You could see their little heads in the nest. It was so cool. And then at the same time on the ground, there was a baby grackle that a mother was going and picking up pieces of bread and giving it to. So this was like a whole little bird ecosystem we got to watch yesterday. So that was really cool. So I love nature. I love animals, you know. I mean, what can I say? It's just life. I respect life. I love it, and it's amazing. And so thank you to everybody, like I said, to donate. Thank you to everybody that showed up. Please like and subscribe if you like our content. Tell people about it. Repost it. Share it. Do what you got to do so we can get more subscribers and grow, because I want people to hear what we talk about here. We try to get to the bottom of things, you know, and we do the best we can. Thank you, Dennis, for that donation. We appreciate it. Absolutely. And I did get the flashlight that you sent me, Not Watcher. And I've already used it once on a little investigating thing we did. All right, man. All right, guys. I'll see you.